Year one, you're
Me
getting
and
your
Brock
footing.
Purdy, baby.
Year two, you're now Devin's going to come in and tell everybody what to do and tell everybody when they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. But that's part of the growth, and I think that's harder to do when you play so early in your career. You've got to break that vibe that's been created where, I keep my head low and my mouth shut, but you grow into it. And I think one of the reasons you grow into it is you see younger guys coming in, older guys leaving, and all of a sudden you are the veteran. You are the guy who's been there, and that's what Purdy was this year. Now, the question is, will they pay him? Will they extend a contract that has 1 year left? He was the last guy taken in the 2022 draft, if you haven't heard. Now he's eligible for a deal. They could play games. They could squat on him for another year like the Cowboys did with Dak Prescott. Let him finish his contract, tagged him for a year, and gave him the big deal after he had been tagged once and they had tagged him a second time. Here's what owner Jed York said about Brock Purdy yesterday. I know we want Brock to be here for a long time, and we'll do everything we can to make that work. Brock is just a tremendous human being, and I'm looking forward to a long-term partnership. Well, first of all, being a tremendous human being doesn't mean jack squat when it comes to football. You better be a tremendous football player. There have been a lot of guys who are horrible human beings, but they are incredible football players, so we'll overlook the fact that they're horrible human beings. I don't want to hear he's a tremendous human being. I want to hear he's a killer of a quarterback who's going to deliver a championship. And the challenge is, and I feel like the 49ers are just trying to set the mood to get Brock to not expect too much. You're a tremendous human being, Brock. And you know what tremendous human beings do? They realize how they fit in the salary cap. But you know what tremendous human beings don't do? They don't get selfish and ask for market value when they really haven't had market level performance. And don't make us go there, tremendous human being. Don't make us be the bad guys where we have to point out that you're really not a $50 million a year guy, maybe a $40 million a year guy. So this is where it gets weird because obviously has he earned an extension? Yes. That's the easy part. The hard part is putting a number on it. That's what is going to be the fight. The dollars and the structure. The 49ers always try to get the structure where they've got the window until April 1 to decide whether to pick up a guy's guarantees for the next year. Like, they've got ways of doing things, and how much are they going to change it for Purdy? We'll find out, Devin, but how much they're going to pay him is the much bigger question than whether they want him. Of course they want him. How much are they willing to pay, and how much will he want?
You don't fully grow up in the NFL until you go through your first ever contract extension, second contract talks, because you're like, they love me here. Everything is great. They said they want me back. I want to be back. And then you're going to get in these talks, and your agent is going to call you, and he's going to tell you the first offer that they offered you, and you won't believe it. You're going to be like, there's no way. Like, they said they wanted me back. They said they wanted me. They said, I'm good. They want to pay me as the 25th best player at my position. That doesn't make sense. Like, that's the reality when you go through these contract negotiations. And I think there's even more of a spotlight now on extending your quarterback because your quarterback is good for your team. Maybe not necessarily you think your quarterback is worth the amount of money you're going to pay him. And I think that's what you're saying is what the 49ers are going to try to decide. What is that sweet spot? Because it just feels like some of these teams who have a quarterback who maybe they don't think is at the level of the market and what they're going to pay him, but they say, hey, we can't win without this guy. Of now you have to try to forecast what does that look like in 3 years? Because once we pay this guy, that means somebody else might not get to get paid. Somebody is going to have to sacrifice. We're going to have to maybe let this guy go and move a tier down to this guy. So I think it's a tough decision for the 49ers because as they look at their team, Deebo Samuels wants to be traded. Christian McCaffrey's future is kind of up in the air. Dre Greenlaw's a guy that might not be back as a free agent. So as you keep Brock Purdy, you also have to look, what's going to be around him? Where are we going to be at? Or maybe you say Brock Purdy's the guy we want leading us into the future as we do start to change some of these other guys. He's the leader. He's the type of guy we want to be the head of our franchise, and you make that decision. But I think you have to really think about long-term what you're investing in and what you see happening down the line if you decide to invest in Brock Purdy at a market value type of deal.
You got to just be willing to tell Brock Purdy, this is the most we're going to pay you. And if you don't like it, you can play for what is not going to be very much money in year 4. Continue to carry the injury risk, and we'll just franchise tag you next year. And, if you play really well, then we'll pay you market value. You've got to do more to prove that you're worth market value if you want market value. We're happy to sign you to a long-term deal now at 40 or thereabouts. If you want 50 or more, you got to do it for one more year. And there's nothing unfair about expecting that to happen. Why would you give a guy $50 million a year when he's not a $50 million a year player yet? And people get mad about it. He's not. He's not one of the short-list franchise quarterbacks. He's closer to middle of the pack than top of the stack. That's just the truth. So why would you pay the guy a crap load of money and tie your hands when it comes to putting a team around him? By the way, real quickly, you mentioned Deebo Samuel. I don't expect him to be back this year. I've never expected him to be back for 2025. The handwriting's been on the wall. He came up in trade negotiations with the Steelers last year. They paid him a lot of money based on his 2021 season, which was spectacular. He hasn't been close to it since then. Those two sides are going to move on. There was some news to that effect on Sunday, and it's not going to surprise me when it happens. Let's take a break. When we return. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.